All right, here we go, guys. Welcome back. It's the Brothers Geek Out podcast. I'm your host, Kibbs, one half of the Brothers Geek Out podcast, and thank you for joining me on the Geek Out session. We do these sessions for creatives that want to work in the industry, that want to be creative, that want to hear the creative journey as well. I want to say a massive, massive thank you to Jessica C. Benson for joining us on today's Geek Out show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No, you're most welcome. It is an absolute honor. Thank you for asking me to come and be on here,
Listen,
It's an honor.
oh, bless you. I saw your work on YouTube a couple of
Yeah.
months ago and then started following you on Instagram. And I was like, oh my God, wow, how do you even keep up with the amount of work that you do? But it's not that, the quality of it as well, which is absolutely amazing as well. Like my first kind of like jumping into this straight away because you're such a fan of pop culture as well.
Yeah.
What is it like watching something and then being like, oh my God, I want to recreate that in my own way. What's that
It's
like?
it's
Like,
crazy because like there's I mean, you know yourself these days, like there's so many people online that all sort of like try to keep up with the trends, try to keep up with the same thing. With me, it's like if I watch something and I resonate with it, then I may or may not create something from it, or I may revisit it in the future.
mhm,
And it's like the recent painting, which you've probably just seen, which was Jinx and Arcane.
yeah.
Like everybody was posting like crazy in November, and I'm just like there, like, oh man, where do we even begin? Like I seen the first season and I was like, you know, what do I do with the second season? Like I'm already, hooked on trying to catch up with it all and what have you. And obviously, like you have a busy life and everything, it gets in
Hmm.
the way. So it gets to January and I finally post a painting related to it. I was a little bit late to the party, but I always like I never rush into something.
Hmm.
I'm like, I guess I don't know whether that's me being hypercritical of like it has to be right, it has to feel right. So like I don't just like post to keep up with trends. Like I found that where the moment I decide like try to even decide on doing that, I
Hmm.
couldn't do it. I was putting too much pressure on myself. And then
That's right.
like I started to notice that my work wasn't as good as what it usually typically is. So now I've got into the habit of taking my time when I do find the time of keeping up with pop culture, that is.
Hmm.
And just like really, really observing. And if I can connect with the character, then I'm going to paint it, I'm going to draw it. And then that inspires me to just keep on creating. And that's been ever since I was a kid. So I think with me, because like I didn't grow up with like the technology that we have now, like I didn't, because I'm a 90s kid, like I didn't grow up with like TikTok and all of that. And sometimes my daughter's like, Mom, have you seen this? And I'm like, just give me like, till next year and I'll catch up a little bit. But she's like, no, but you need to like be doing this, Mom. And I'm like, I'm just
Oh,
gonna stay in my own lane and work on my own thing because like there's this pressure sometimes with social media where, and I think like just to answer your question there, it's just like if you want to know how I keep up with culture, I don't. I just like it. I just take my time. Like I observe characters. If I can relate to them in some way, then further down the line I might paint or create them, and that might take me a year. It might take me a couple of months. So when I do them, it might look like I'm keeping up with the trends because like I'll paint and draw things that are popular. But you'll notice that there's a bit of a delay. Like I won't do it when everybody else is sort of like posting. Maybe sometimes I will. It depends on whether I'm in the flow state and I'm drawing something that I'm satisfied with. But with me, like if I'm going to create something, like I want it to be a reflection of what I feel for that character. Or, I mean, you'll notice I've drawn Batman, Joker, and those are characters that have obviously resonated with me for years. And then I've obviously got my landscapes and stuff that I do,
hmm.
and I just, my work is very, very reflective as of like what's going on in my internal state. So like my upbringing is like landscapes of like Salford Keys and stuff like that. So it's very like I don't have like one set genre. I just
Hmm.
if I feel it, then I create it and I go for it. If not, then maybe I'll just scrap it and bin it and just leave it on the pile for another day. So that's what I usually tend to typically do. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. You know what? I love the fact that you don't put that pressure on yourself as a creative because I think we do
Yeah.
that in general. And like
Yeah,
with a lot of the mental health, because I do mental health kind of art workshops
that's great.
across the country, and
Wow.
what you said there, and you know what, definitely, I have to get you on one of those events because
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
hearing you kind of speak about not putting pressure on yourself,
Yeah.
you're not following trends, and you did say you're 90s. I'm an 80s baby, so same thing. Didn't grow up with all of the social media part. I mean, I didn't have a mobile phone till I
Yeah.
was like 25 years old.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's a really fast moving society now, and it's quite scary at times because
Yeah.
as a father, it makes me think about what my kids are going to go through when it comes to creativity.
Yeah.
And like me, I do jump on some trends, but I notice that the quality in my work drops when I do that.
Yeah, it's hard to resist, because there's a fun side to it too, and like you get dead excited when like this big new thing comes out. I think another popular one's like Squid Game and all of that.
Yeah.
Like I watched that over the Christmas period, and I'm still like trying to like figure some of the characters out and what have you. And I don't know, I just like to take my time on those things. But when it comes to like the mental health side of it, like I just think, and I always try to like invoke this like essence into my daughter as well, that like there's a time and place for things. I always go by the motto, as corny as it sounds, I always try to say, um, appreciate everything,
Mhm.
but don't expect anything either. Like try not to like build yourself up for like high hopes because you never know who or what is ever gonna let you down. So like I always try to like remind her, stay neutral.
Mhm.
Like, like maybe this person has said something like that they might plan this with her, say in school today or something. And I'll be like, okay. But then like I used to get to high school and teachers used to switch it up and they were like, okay, well, we're not doing that now, we're doing this thing. But it's just an example. And it's like, I mean, that's probably a really bad example, but like I always say, like, don't get your hopes up too much. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I
Mhm.
just mean like society is always changing, people are always changing, people and they're not always sort of like overly predictable, if that makes sense. So like when somebody's saying, oh, I've got like this thing, I think you might be interested in it, and then you get your hopes up, and then next minute say I might get an email and they might say, oh, I'm sorry, but like we've changed our ideas now and this might not work and stuff. And then I'm like in my head trying to plan like all these great things that I could do for say content or whatever it is related
Mhm.
to. So I try to like stay on a neutral ground now. I try to stay very, very grounded and just focused on like my lane and where I want to be as a creative like in the future. But I think it's like something that everybody should sort of like take into their work ethic and what they do, regardless of like creating just like in a working industry in general. And they should keep this sort of like mindset. Like, and people aren't always completely reliable either. So when it comes down to it, you really just have to depend on yourself. There's no one going to come and save you and all of that. So that's kind of what I had to learn this a very, very long, long way, but you know, that's how it is.
We've been on the journey. It's managing expectations.
Yeah.
That's exactly. It's so important. I remember I was working in marketing for about 10 years. And one of the things that I learned from a good friend, he was my manager, but we're good friends now,
Yeah.
was that managing expectations.
Yeah.
And for ourselves as well as creatives, is because sometimes you said we could reach too high and expect great results and realize, oh, I didn't get what I was expecting there. And I think
Yeah.
being grounded and being humbled with situations is so important, I think, as a person in general. Uh, but you've incorporated that into your art, which is absolutely amazing because you you, you know what you want to put out there and how you want to put it out there, and I think that's quite nice. And as you said, that takes time to
Yeah,
get to
it
that
it
point.
does. It's crazy. I mean, like even now, like with YouTube, when I very first started that channel, I was actually inconsistent. I had a very,
Mm,
very busy lifestyle and I wasn't completely dedicated to my artwork as much as I am now. And like you'll probably look at the channel and look at the following and think it doesn't sort of like match the videos and stuff, which it doesn't because there's been like huge gaps. I've only like been able to post here and there like right from the beginning. I wasn't like completely solid on where I was going to take anything.
mm,
And again, that was like way before TikTok. I was sort of like putting my feet, like my tippy toes into the water, into the swimming pool, like when it's like first
mhm.
cold and then you get used to it and it gets warmer. It was like that at first, so it's just all been trial and error. And obviously the pandemic hit and all of that, and I just completely just went in my own zone with my artwork and started drawing, started painting. And like people always say to me, like, oh, you should be grateful because you're so talented and stuff. But I don't always think that it's talent. I just think it's how much you're working at your talent, you know.
Hmm.
Because I only think talent's good when it works hard, you know. I think talent only gets you so far. Like people can have so much talent and then they can just waste it by doing like the complete opposite thing because either they don't believe in themselves enough or they're not around like the right group, the right
Hmm.
tribe and just things like that. So yeah, I've definitely learned that I've had to go my own way and sort of like find what works for me and what doesn't. And nobody's actually really helped me with that. That was just something that I just started. I was like, okay, observing where this would go. And now it is where it is. And now I just like because of what I do produce, I can't really stop now. So I found myself like I'm just gonna keep it up.
No, it's amazing. And make
Stop.
sure you do because we I'm loving the content and I love the work you've done so far. And I think you put a unique spin to some of the work that you do as well.
Thank you.
This which kind of goes into my next question. How do you feel like your journey as an artist and how your art style has evolved with the kind of changes in how art is represented now? Because now we're in a state of AI coming out, which is
Yeah.
very kind of scary. But then you use different mediums of artwork as well. You're not just a sketch artist. You do landscapes,
Yeah.
portraits. You use the marker paint pens and
It's a little bit
brushes,
crazy.
which is how do you feel like that is has that evolved with time and you know how do you feel about with AI coming into the equation as well?
With artificial intelligence, I always like had this fear that it's going to put so many people out of jobs.
Hmm.
It's going to be really detrimental to homes, to families. I don't know how far in the future we're going to get with AI. And I don't know whether I hate to think. I'm not too sure. I think there needs to be something if it does develop to the extent that I don't know that we've all seen in the Terminator or something. I don't want Sarah Connor like coming for us all, I don't want it to get to that level, but I don't know. I just think that like if it does get to like an exceeding level where
Mm,
we can't see beyond that, like where's the place for humans? Where's that shift with creativity? We all tend to like if you ask a traditional artist that is, and even digital artists that are sat there for hours on end at a tablet, or I mean you'll know yourself because I've seen your
yeah.
digital work, like you're putting your time, your dedication. It's like your own hands have made that.
Hmm.
So there's this attachment process to it. And it's like if you're just looking at a robot and you're looking at it and you're thinking, well, like us raw, authentic humans have come up with this design.
Hmm.
Do we need that with art in the art community? Because it's going to put artists out of jobs. I mean, I know that some of it is fascinating and some things that have been artificially intelligently generated some things are very beautiful, but at the same time, there's a collective consciousness that's out here thriving, working on our niche and grinding our all around the clock, all different hours of the day to get done what we need to do with our artwork. So I think that's another reason why only digital only comes up every now and again in my work, even though my own hands have drawn digitally.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if you can hear my cats in the background, so I am going to apologize. I do
No,
have
it's all right.
children in the background. Besides
It's
my
okay.
daughter, I also have toddlers in the background, four of them,
Oh,
the crazy cats, three cats and a little kitten at the moment.
oh,
So
that's
I apologize for that.
no,
But
it's
yeah,
all good.
with going back to AI, sorry. I just feel that like as long as it doesn't put people out of too many jobs, it doesn't get to
Hmm.
the point where it's out of our control. And you look at movies like The Matrix and like you start questioning things and you go down those rabbit holes that we talk about people of the red pill and stuff. So, but no, I do worry about society. I hope it doesn't get too out of hand, where it starts thinking too much for itself and stuff. So I hope that that makes sense. But it's a ground that like I don't want to sort of like go down when it comes to my work at least.
No,
Like
of course, yeah.
I would never want to incorporate it. I'm definitely all about like the raw hands of the artist that's created that work. As much as it's great to see where how far we can push artificial intelligence, I also think it's scary as well. So
No, definitely. Like me, I've worked with Adobe in the past, and I remember while they were trialing it, and like they were asking different types of artists of like what they feel and how they feel about it.
Yeah.
And I think as an assistive tool, when it comes to working on certain projects, it's going to be very cool for uh,
Yeah.
people that are going to take time to try and do a piece of work where you have to extend an image or you have to change a couple of
Yeah.
things. Writing a prompt kind of helps you doing that because they still need the human behind doing the creativity part.
Exactly. Yeah.
But as you said, that's control, and I think that's some of the laws that Adobe had put through was that as much as it is an AI doing it, it's still a human doing the bulk work of it because you have to have somebody do the creativity part
Yeah.
before you can
Exactly.
go fully AI. And they abide by their rules of not using any images from like Google and making sure that they're using everything from their stock files, basically their
One thing
photography, their
that I
artwork.
have noticed, like we used to like as creatives, I think it was Sam's artist, his name is, he's a really, really good artist, he's a digital
Hmm.
artist. He does a lot of drawing, absolutely incredible. But um he he mentioned this topic a little while ago on his channel, and he was talking about Pinterest. It used to be a hub for like where artists could go to like study their references, and we could do our drawings and our sketchbooks and stuff like that, even on Procreate and things. But now you go to Pinterest and it's like every image after another is all AI generated. It's like, who's creating this? Like, they're awesome, but where's all this coming from?
It's an
So it's,
influx. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, and it used to be a time where it was just like all beautifully rendered photographs from actual
Mm.
photographers.
Yeah.
I don't know. The lines sort of get blurred a little bit when it comes to AI, but all I know is that I don't think I'll probably ever incorporate into my work. I'm not too sure.
Hmm.
It depends on sort of like if I'm being asked of something to work for somebody to do with that kind of line of things. Like I say, I just hope it doesn't put anybody out of jobs. So,
No, definitely. I think that's the part that most of us are worried about.
yeah.
Jessica, how has your artwork evolved over the years? How have you
Um,
found that journey?
I think I've sort of like done a complete, I think it's 180. I've done a complete full circle of where I started with the what I was inspired by, which was like the old school stuff. So I like movies like that I'm particularly drawn to, which is The Dark Knight.
Hmm.
I love The Crow, Brandon Lee.
Oh, such a good
Um,
film.
I'm always like, and I also liked the craft when I was growing up too, about the teenage girls that were all witches. So all that
Yeah.
kind of aesthetic really appealed to me growing up. So
Hmm.
that always sort of stuck with me. So I have like this witchy side going on. My studio's all witchy aesthetic. It's crazy. So it's just another world out there.
Oh,
But
bless.
no, like I feel that I started off doing what I was really, really passionate about, and I was drawing the things I was passionate about. It's just a bit of fun, and I was just
Hmm.
dilly-dallying around certain ideas. And then as it progressed, I realized, okay, well, one, I've got to come sort of up with my sort of style, my own style, and people need to sort of start recognizing that, I've done this work, so it doesn't sort of get lost in a sea of everybody else's work as well.
Hmm.
And that's really hard to do in this day and age when everybody's doing the same thing. So when I talk about the circle, I've I've actually just come straight back to what I actually started it for, which is what I love, which you'll see like Batman showed up. You got Jinx
Hmm.
from Arcane, just the typical stuff that I related to. And again, like
Hmm.
I say, if I can't relate to it, I probably won't draw or paint it unless I'm being commissioned to do so. But
That's
even
right.
then, there's still got to be an element of, do I care enough to want it? I mean, I know that I'm getting paid for it, for example, but like I need to be able to just, if it's completely on the opposite side of the water of what I don't do, I'm just like, it's not going to work out.
I
So,
stopped doing that as well. I stopped
yeah,
doing that
yeah,
because anybody you end up getting work that you don't fully enjoy, and
yeah.
and I think that's where the element of don't let your job kind of you don't want to hate your job,
Yeah,
like you don't
it's
want to
hard
get to
because
that point.
we've got to pay our bills and stuff. So
Exactly.
it's like, how can I find a way that will sort of like make it work for me? So like you mentioned before about the acrylic markers,
Yes.
that wasn't actually like a choice to like do Batman in the fluorescent styles. I had these pens sent to me. They were like, "Do
Um,
you want to do this?" And I'm like, these pens must have been sat there for like a couple of weeks. So I decided, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. If people like it, they like it. It's fine. But I just thought, Batman's sort of like not been done in that way. I don't think I've seen him been done in that way. Let's see where this goes. And I think it's just been a lot of trial and error, a lot of playing
Hmm.
about with mediums. And the one medium though that I do struggle with is watercolor because it's so uncontrollable. So
Ooh.
that one is just like it's a bit of a danger zone for me. I'm like,
I'm gonna see if I can find one of my watercolor pieces because I went through a phase where all I wanted to do was use watercolor, and I did
wow,
for a
so
long
beautiful
time.
to look at.
But you have to have, as you said, control
And so much patience as well.
because you got to wait for sections to dry, and if you're
Yeah,
gonna do
yeah,
like layers, that's when it gets a bit tricky. And I think that's it took me ages to get back into like using felt tip markers and
yeah.
pencils to try and kind of get in different types of blends. But watercolor, once you get used to it, like oh
It's
man,
so I know it's so therapeutic as well,
it is, it is. So I don't know if you could see that. You know
Oh,
what?
it's
I'm
a
gonna
bit blurry.
hold on. There you go. Can you see
Yeah,
that?
I can see that.
So
Yeah,
that's like a mixture of watercolors and felt tip
yeah.
markers. Oh, you know what? I've got to take
It's
the blur
blurring
out.
in and
Right.
out, but I can see now and again, and it's controlled. That is controlled. With me, I'm just like I need the I need the patience. I think that's
There
why I
you
like
go.
acrylic so
Sorry
much.
about the mess behind me.
No, it's
Alara,
okay.
you got to clean up. So that's
No,
the.
nothing to see behind you. I'm completely looking at the artwork.
uh, there you go. So a mixture of again with watercolors, uh,
Yeah,
which is it is really cool. So like I think I
yeah,
learned how to
it's fun.
drop the colors first and then do the inks on top. And do
Yeah.
you know what? This piece is from like 2015.
It's awesome with inks. It's a really, I like the way you can get the line work down and then, yeah. And then fill
Yeah,
it in with like all the watercolors. Oh,
that's right. So
yeah.
what it was, I think I because I was struggling mentally on where I was heading in my life in that time. Back in 2015, I think I don't know, I came back to art. Finally found my foot back into art, but I was really struggling mentally because I was going through a lot at the time. Didn't
Yeah.
know how to process my thoughts, but
Yeah.
I saw somebody using watercolors like, oh man, you know, it's funny. This is why I love having these conversations. It makes me go back to my folder of when I first started and like, I've
It's
got
so
these.
nice to look back on that, because it's kind of like you remember things that you wouldn't typically remember unless you actually look back at that work.
Yeah, nice. And it was like absolutely like I watercolors I adore. But there's this piece I've got. It's one of my favorite pieces, which I'm trying to find. Oh, God, I can't find it. It's an image of Gambit. And you know
Yeah.
Gambit, he has this really luscious, beautiful hair that goes all over the place. And the artist who was painting, she was using the watercolors, but she was doing it in as a tree, like there was the leaves coming
Yeah.
off a tree, and she put the watercolors down first, just the shape of it, and then she dropped like ink markers on top of it after it dried.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And that
That's
inspired
beautiful.
me to, I found this image of
Yeah.
Gambit and I was like, how do I make his hair look like really stand out? And the
Yeah.
watercolors are amazing because it allowed me to do different layers. And yeah, but you have to have patience. You got to have
Yeah, you
patience.
do. And I think and the thing about watercolors as well, like you got those because it's so transparent, you can see the other colors through the other colors. They're so beautiful. I know I did. I drew. I had to use watercolors for me Pavita Rebecca that I did. I did Indie
Yeah.
Spider, and obviously the Taj Mahal and Mumbai behind him. It's all
Oh.
watercolors when you look at the scene. So I was very very patiently just putting that paint. I was like, please don't bleed, don't go in the wrong place. It's like praying the whole time through this process in my head, like
Yeah.
trying to put this
It
brush
is, it
work
is, it
down.
is, it is, it is, because I've done like with the watercolors and now going back in that folder, I think I'm gonna post some of my old work
Yeah,
because
you should definitely maybe
the
do a talk
watercolors really
even
help.
of all your works. And
Definitely,
even
definitely.
though like you just mentioned you went through a hard time and stuff, it's nice to like look back and just see the positive at least that came out of it. I think that's been the thing for me as well, like some of the hard times that I've gone through. And I'm still going through things in my personal life as well, but
Hmm.
it's nice to see that you don't have nothing to show for it. You did this great thing that you worked on, and even if nobody else sees it has that exponential meaning to you as well. I think
Oh
that's
yeah. Definitely,
So
definitely.
definitely
It
always
was.
like hold on to your old works because like with me like I used to like give them to my mum when I was a kid and I'm like nope I'm okay like and I remember she had this pink folder. I think she's probably still got it somewhere of all my old artworks and
Oh.
drawings, and I remember she was like cleaning out a cupboard one time and she was like, do you want this? And I'm like, oh, I'll just keep it, and she held on to it, and I'm like, I'll probably look back on it one day, and now I'm like, Mum, you got that folder? I'm like, you know. No, that's probably a good time to look back on all of that. So, but
No,
yeah.
definitely, definitely. That's really cool because I started that. So I bought frames. So actually, before my eldest daughter, well, actually, she was born. She shared the room with us for a little bit while I was fixing this place up. This was my studio. It's
Yeah.
become my little girl's room now. That's why it's such a mess. But I've got prints up of. Sorry, I've got frames that allow me to put her artwork in there so she can look at it every day.
Oh, that's
I've got
lovely.
folders and folders of her artwork. I am not getting rid of that.
Oh,
I
no,
promised myself
never.
this year was that I want her because she always says to me, like recently she was drawing and she was like, Daddy, I want to be an artist like you. And that
Oh,
always melts my heart, but it does change at
yeah.
times, but usually always goes back to artists. But I want to do it, and I want to do an art gallery for her this year
Oh, bless.
and put up her work, and I invite all friends and family to come
Oh,
see
that'd
it.
be amazing.
So I'm trying to find a place to get that done, but to give her confidence because I think it's really hard to put your work out there, and even online, it's very
Yeah.
hard. Uh, what was it like for you when you posted your first drawing, or when you did the first YouTube video? Like, what did you think? How did you feel in that moment when you put it out there?
I don't know. I just had this feeling because I'd been doing a lot of other things. Way before I even started posting my artwork. Art was always
Hmm.
sort of like there, but it wasn't completely present because I actually started on social media doing photo shoots up and down the country, up and down the UK, and like nothing big or anything, but like I would go and model for photographers, and like we had like this like portfolios and stuff on, I think it was Purple Port at the time. I don't even know if that still exists, but we would we'd all make connections and stuff. So that's how sort of like my online presence began.
Hmm.
And I was studying hair and makeup at the time, so I've always had a brush in my hand somehow. Brushes always seem to find me. And I was studying like prosthetics and
Wow.
bridal makeup, evening makeup, the typical
Yeah.
girly stuff, but also like the gross, gruesome stuff too, which I really loved. But yeah, I was always sort of like artsy. So at the time, just for fun, I wasn't particularly thinking about it or taking it seriously. I was just, look, hey, look, this is what I drew today. And I think that mainly started over on Facebook where I would share it with like a smaller crowd. So that was
Hmm.
like over on Facebook, like you've got your friends and you've got your family and stuff. So you sort of test the water a little bit there and you just slowly show them. And slowly but surely it kept on going and it kept on going. So, but I years ago as well myself, I've gone through the works too
Mm.
with a lot of negativity. I won't get personal, but I've definitely gone through some stuff. And I think if I actually hadn't have been through that stuff, I wouldn't have been able to like make my daughter aware of certain things as well now.
Hmm.
So it's definitely been a lesson learned that I can sort of pass on and project onto my daughter to keep her safe and keep her well-being there emotionally. And I think emotional health and our emotional state is just so important, and making sure that we don't go through life like living with PTSD or anything like that.
Yes,
And we
that's
have to
right.
clear those like traumatic bonds and things. And even though like I say that, like I think sometimes even family as well, like you can't help what you're born into, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Sometimes there's just got to be a time where you just go, no, this is enough. I'm done. You have to walk
Yeah,
away.
that's
So
right.
they're the little things that I learn. And I noticed that the more that I would post my art, the more that I would post, say, anything to do with anything photo related, even a
Yeah.
selfie or what have you, I would have people in my life trying to stop me from doing it. Like they wouldn't directly say you shouldn't be doing it, but they would like say, be logical and ideological kind of thing.
Okay.
But I grew up with, so I'm very, very old school. So I grew up with like my mum, my nan, and my granddad.
Oh.
It's a really, really when I try to explain this to people, like it's something that you have to sort of experience yourself.
Hmm.
So like my nan and my granddad were like a mum to me. They sort of like took the very domineering role. My mum was
Hmm.
my mum, of course, but like she had like a much more sisterly sort of relationship with me because obviously we were growing up with her mum and dad as
Parent,
well.
yeah, that's right.
So yeah, so there was that. When I was a kid, I suffered with my asthma as well. I was in and out of hospital all the time. So I remember drawing all of these pictures and going back to artwork. I would draw and draw, just maybe just to escape some of the little things that I was going through with my health and stuff.
Hmm.
And my mum and my granddad and my nan, they always had me in hospital. They were always like looking after me, making sure I kept in check and everything. But like my asthma was just astronomical. It was like out of control. It was crazy. And I remember particularly coming back from a period of being in hospital on the children's ward, and I was drawing these pictures. And I remember in the living room, I put them all on the living room floor, waiting for my granddad to come home from work. And I was saying, how much would you buy these for? And he was like putting like pennies and like little 20 pence pieces, like to like fill my ego a little bit as a kid. And I
Oh,
still don't even know why I did that to this day, but I was just like trying to show him, look, this is what I've been working on and stuff. So it was always there. It was always very present in my life, art.
oh,
And particularly like singing, acting, and dancing too. Um,
okay.
I went to college. When I went to my first course that I did in college, I went to Pendleton in Salford, and I did 3 years. So I did acting, singing, and dancing. It was mainly acting based, the course, and I didn't manage to completely complete the last year because my nana unfortunately fell poorly, who had obviously lived with all my life. So that got in the way too. So things sort of changed
Mm.
there too. Got my first job when I was like 14. So I've always
Hmm.
been very, very hard working for all. Like I was an only child, like with my nan, my granddad, and my mum, but
Okay,
people automatically assume like, oh, she's had a silver spoon and like, she's this real spoiled kid and stuff. But actually, no, I was actually taught to, that's where it came back to that I appreciate everything that I was saying to you before, because I was taught that way. I was taught that, not everything's a bed of roses. You got to work for what you want and
that's
stuff.
right. That's right.
And I'd never like expected anything from anyone. I wasn't like one of those needy kids that would go to their dad or their mum and go like, I want this now kind of thing. I was taught, no, you got to earn it first, maybe just work on your maths a little bit or do this, and then maybe you'll get what you want kind of thing.
Good
So
ethics. Good ethics. That's
yeah,
really good. That's
yeah,
good to hear. I think most artists have that kind type of art, like kind of upbringing. I think
yeah,
we I think there's a reason why we create because we've gone through something. It's a way of us
yeah,
expressing ourselves. So like, I know that when I do my canvas work, I'm more experimental because I'm probably in a erratic. My
it's a good
anxiety's gone
feeling.
up. Yeah, my
Yeah,
anxiety's up, and
yeah,
the working freely on a canvas really helps me out
that
compared to working
release.
on a yeah, kind of working on a piece of paper or the iPad or
Yeah,
my drawing tablet
of
because I feel
course.
like I have to be more
It
precise.
is. Yeah,
And with canvas, I can just let go of whatever anxiety I have in that moment.
yeah,
And I want to be doing more of that. I feel like as I grew up again in a very strict household where again kind of grew up with the grandparents living there as well,
yeah,
mum and dad, and then growing in a house of like crazy full of it was full on basically. And I
yeah.
think uh what I take on now and when I come to this full house now, full of love, but it does get chaotic sometimes and it's like, oh my God, I got so many people on me right now. What's going on? Uh, but painting does give me that kind of that
It
feel.
does, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's definitely why I started it as well. It's that people say to you, "What's going through your noggin?" Like when you're doing that, like how did you do that? It's like I don't even know how to explain it because I wasn't even thinking anything. I was just zoned out, bro. I was just like, I was rocking on some Metallica or Bullet, from a Valentine. I don't know. I was in some other dimension. Don't ask me what I was thinking because I have no idea. It happened. It went poof on the canvas, and the rest is history. Like I know I made the effort to create it somewhere down the line, but what was going on in the mind, I don't
Yeah,
know.
you get lost in it. We get lost in it. Doesn't matter what it is. I remember when I stopped doing like artwork, I jumped on, as you said, like, I did videography, I did photography, uh, I did so much in that in between time where I didn't do art.
Yeah.
I did a bit of acting as well. Didn't I actually I did do some things. Those are movies I'm not proud of, but it's something. But I recently did a cameo in something that I'm quite happy about. So I'm just like
That's awesome.
redoing that again, like
Yeah.
jumping into things and like, but still keeping my like I'm doing art. And when customers come to me, you're buying my art. I'm not doing some like I can't do that uncomfortable jobs no more. So
Yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
I've gained that sort of confidence as an artist, and I think most of the listeners that do pop onto like the art side of things and always ask
Yeah.
like some of the questions I do get is like the what was it? So the main thing is social media, which I
Yeah.
think sometimes can be a downfall. The other thing was uh what was it? I got ADHD and dyslexia, so organization for me is horrible, but I
Yeah.
do need it. I'm a visual learner, so I need to put visual things up.
Yeah.
So if anybody suffers ADHD or dyslexia, and like and whatever you are going through,
Yeah.
you'll you have to find your own way. I think
Of course
that's
you do.
one thing.
Yeah.
Because everybody asks for advice and things like that, and I don't like giving advice, and I don't like even giving my
Yeah,
opinion
that's only sort of
sometimes.
like something you can understand from your perspective. Like you can't expect somebody that doesn't have those things to, un
Yeah.
understand. Um, and that's where like I could tell because I have definitely I had a look through your Instagram, but forgive me not.
No, no,
Um,
it's all right.
and yeah, definitely like I can tell that like you're definitely interested into the acting side of things, and I know that like I obviously know like you get invites from Warner Brothers and
Mm,
Marvel, DC. I mean, it's amazing, but like I think a part of it too is like it's your experience through it. Like those things, they're so inspirational. Like you've got this yearning to be a part of it yourself, like
hmm.
regardless of how that is a part of, if that makes sense.
No, no, of course, of course, of
You
course. Yeah,
know,
that's right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
you've
like
got
if you're
that spot
saying
on.
about acting,
Yeah.
like, I think we all just have that dream. And I just think like, if you're passionate enough and believe in yourself enough, I always think you don't know what's around the corner ever. You just gotta keep
No,
going.
definitely. Like it's like one of those ones like so like because of the background I grew up in, and I think my parents didn't fully understand about my creativity
Yeah,
only until like the past couple of actually not maybe in the past 10 years they like started accepting and thinking, "Oh my God, he's getting actually paid to do
yeah,
this artwork and
yeah,
like he's surviving." Like
yeah,
they found it very difficult, and I can't blame them as parents as well. They
yeah,
came from a different generation. They came from
exactly.
the aftermath of the Second World War and coming to a different country and all the rest of it. So I can understand their point. It's weird as a parent now. I can understand what they're going through, uh,
Yeah, because you
and
obviously,
how
you want your best for your children.
hundred
And
percent.
it's like you don't want to be the one to say, I know that you have this dream, babe, but like I think you should be thinking about this. Like with me, I remember when I first picked my second college course that I went on, which was at hair and makeup. My
Hmm.
mum had a little bit of a tangent with my granddad, and she was like, "No, I always wanted us to draw, and I always wanted us to paint." And ironically, I never picked that. I never went for that. And I
Oh,
think it was because my mum was like so pushy with it that she wanted
yeah.
me to do it. Me being a kid was like, no, I don't want to do it. I think it was kind of like she did this reverse psychology thing on me, like not intentionally, but like I just think sometimes you have to like, I don't know, just like observe your child and just see what they really are truly passionate about and not put pressure on them to push them to do it because I think
Hmm.
sometimes they may not do it and they might go, they might feel like a bit intimidated by that almost.
That's right.
Like I
That's
didn't
right.
feel intimidated, but I felt like in the back of my noggin, I was like, yeah, my mum's right. I like drawing and I like painting, but I was also thinking I need to make money. Like I was thinking I need a real job. And now because of social media, that's all changed.
Yeah,
So that's been the beauty of it. Like I didn't have that luxury back then of okay, well there's TikTok and Instagram. Like Instagram was just I think it was just starting out like then.
that's right.
Um yeah.
That's
So
amazing though. Like, how have you found, like, as you said, old school, going
yeah.
into the new school with social media and getting like how have you found it be like when it comes to getting work and getting pieces out there? Because you've got like a collection of work that you do, but you do the customized work as well. Like
Yeah.
how have you found it with social media helping you out with that?
I think the main thing with what's helped me has been my channel. Like I've
Mm,
had companies reach out to me and they've wanted me to sponsor different products, work with their products, tell my audience whether I think it's a good thing, whether it's a bad thing. I try
mm,
to do it with as much authenticity as I can. And I explain that as well when the company reaches out to me that look, you know that I'm gonna say what I think. And then if they do like a clause where it's like, well, you can only say good things, that sort of like raises a red flag to me because I'm like, no,
mm.
I don't want to do that. So I have to keep that aspect too with my channel. So I'm really, really picky with who I want to sort of
That's
work with
good.
when it comes to my channel. So obviously it's monetized too.
Hmm.
So and then you have all your links to your shop and everything else. So altogether, over the years, it's just sort of built up and progressed to the point where, okay, I can pay my rent, I can pay my bills on time now, I can do this. So, whereas before I was never in that position, I was like
Yeah.
trying to figure out, "Oh, what am I going to do next?" There was that pressure of just create what people love, let it get the attention and go with that. And that's where, as I was saying about before, where I had to do that circle back round that I just now. Now the where I'm at, I can't do that anymore. Like I'm not
Hmm.
being real to myself. I need to do the things that I'm passionate about. And
100%.
hopefully, my followers can connect and relate to that too. Which I think if you're not like putting your own genuinity into your own work or reflecting something that you like, love, and care about, no one's going to relate to you.
100%.
They're going to know that you're
100%.
doing it for clicks or for,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't, I try to stay away from the clickbaitish stuff, even if that means that I only get, say, free comments on a video. I know when I'm playing myself, if I'm like sort of like winging it to maybe make some money or just being my real self and not, I'd never want to do that. I never want to be in that position where I'm just jumping online because somebody paid me this. I always like try
It
to
was
make
hard.
that company aware I'm doing it for this reason. So I have to remind
No,
them of that.
you've got good integrity. I have fallen in the
I
trap.
try my best, yeah, like try to be as transparent as possible.
Yeah. Right, and
So
that's great. And I think that a lot of people cannot admit that.
it's
Like,
hard in this society that we're living in. It is hard.
very,
We're in
so
such a
hard.
fake generation now.
Oof.
Like
I'm glad
kids
you say
don't
that because
know.
I say it all the time. I say it all the time. I've lost thousands of followers. They're not
Yeah.
really gonna, because there's only a handful of people that
They say
actually
they
follow the
don't post
journey.
your feelings online, just.
Exactly. Uh, I've become a victim of it. I think I had
Yeah.
kind of a breakdown 3 years ago, because I ended up doing a lot of stuff because I got into the industry of, being able to go on these red carpets, review movies that I absolutely, really enjoy. But then it got like I ran myself to the ground a little bit, and it was like,
Yeah.
wow, I'm doing quite a lot, and I realized that I'm not being authentic no more, and it's only for the gram, it's only for,
Yeah,
all of this
exactly.
stuff
Yeah.
started kicking in, and I was in the journey of being a parent as well, and it was like I can't keep up with this. Like,
Yeah, and then you've got to sort of take in like your kids will look back on that one day.
oh yeah,
And
they're gonna
they're
find it
gonna know
cringe.
whether dad was faking it or not. They're gonna be like, Mom, that ain't you.
I'm deleting it. I'm deleting it. Before all
Yeah.
of that, I'm deleting it. But
Okay,
like
she's 18 now. Better go. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna delete them 6 posts. You should be
like
watching.
she'd be cringing because it'd be like half the post is about her anyway. But
Yeah,
I want to show her that a lot of it is because of wanting her to do whatever path she chooses. Is that you put
exactly.
your love,
Yeah.
like mind and heart to it, blood, sweat, and tears. You're going to be able to do
I
whatever you
will
want. But
always want 110, if not 120%, to the moon and back, always support my daughter in whatever she
yeah,
decides to do, whatever she wants
exactly,
to do.
exactly.
There's
So
always too many naysayers. There's always too many
yeah,
naysayers.
it
And
is. It is.
we don't have time for that in my family now. I just, you can, there's too much negativity in the world. You gotta try and
You've got to keep moving. Honestly, I
believe, yeah.
realize that, and I think the fakeness of online and how online people are,
Yeah,
because it's hard to find the odd genuine person where you feel like, oh my God, they're
it's
actually doing
mental.
this
It's
for
crazy.
themselves,
Yeah.
and it's not
Yeah, I
uh
agree.
what's the word like there's again, so there's a certain amount of people that actually are who they are, and there is a 80% to 90% that are just fake. They're not the
Yeah,
same people. And I met
yeah,
so many people along my journey exactly like that. And then I realized, oh my God, I am turning into one of these guys.
yeah.
And I don't want my kids to
You see
see
sort
that.
of like your personality and like the whole way you hold yourself change and like that's not who you
So
are when
you
you go back home to your
exactly.
kids, you
It's
know.
crazy
So
because
you don't
it's
want to
like,
sort of confuse your children either when they get older too.
no, I'd
Who
never
is
want to
this
do that.
person? Yeah.
No, never. I'd never want to do that because
Yeah.
I realized you could go back to posts from like 2 years ago and you'd be like, oh, that's not Kibbs.
Yeah.
That's not Kibbs. That's not Kibbs. And it was a heartbreaking moment because I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and I always like to tell the guys that are listening in, and this is going to be on my art channel as well, and
Yeah,
and Jessica will have this on her channel as well. But kind of like look after yourselves in that process, honestly. Like I think
exactly.
personally, I broke down because I ended up doing it for all the wrong reasons,
Yeah.
all the wrong reasons because I got a bit of limelight. And limelight is amazing. I think it can inspire you in so many
You can
ways.
get addicted to it though, I think. I think there's there's
100%.
there's like a detrimental effect that that has. And that's where I was saying about being neutral before. Because like you
Yes.
can get addicted to the idea of becoming something like that you may have wanted
100%.
from being a child and like now you've got this thing, it's like, oh man, I better keep up with this personality because this is only what the generation wants to see kind of thing. This is what the
Mm.
audience wants to see. And I can't do it. I've tried to do it and I can tell even looking like because we watch ourselves back when we
Yes.
videoed ourselves and it's like
That's not me.
oh, no.
It's horrible. It's
It
horrible.
is, yeah.
It is horrible. And I
Yeah.
always try and tell the listeners, like, please try and be yourself. I know that's the hardest part because once you be yourself, you're going to be engaging anyway. And I
Yeah.
realized since I changed my content, I lost followers and they liked the fake Kibs and I didn't like
Like
that fake
no, because I
Kibs.
mean it's like I've looked at your Instagram as well. Like I can see. I mean I've only gone back so far because obviously you contacted me. You want to get to know one another. You look, and I've only gone back so far. But like from what I can see, you're really enjoying just being there and being present in that moment. You're not like
Yes, definitely.
putting on like a f facade or anything now. Like I can definitely tell that. But whereas other people, they would sort of like do the opposite, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense. Like it's
No, no,
difficult to
100%.
explain, but
No,
unless you're
it's not. You
going
know
through
what?
it.
It's not difficult because I've seen it happen right in front
Yeah,
of me. It's like, oh my God, that's not you. And the thing is, some people can't even hold up a decent conversation anymore. And there's one thing because I grew up in the 80s, it's always been kind of like the 90s growing up into my art journey was like communicating and networking with people in general. I'm
yeah,
not just trying, like some people would see me as a threat and I'm not that person. I've never been that person. Uh, I just do this because I absolutely love it. But
yeah.
because everybody's got a motive now, and it's quite
It's like
scary
me.
to
It's
see
like with the whole threat thing as well. Like my spidey senses, and I've said that like since I was a
that.
teenager. Like my spidey senses are tingling. Like I can feel straight away when I walk in a room that
Yeah.
somebody don't like me, or yeah, I can sort of like I just know if you're a good egg or a bad egg. Like I
Hmm.
only have to meet someone for the first time and be like, okay. And that's it. And that's just it. You're either a good person or you're a bad person at the end of the day. And I feel like the more fake that you are, or the more you sort of like try and put this show on for someone, you can only keep that up for so long. And I think that's where it leads to people abusing
Hmm.
their own selves because
Yes, that's right.
they can't sort of like live with what they've become. Because like
Yes.
maybe if that's through like alcohol or like partying or whatever it is to cope with it, they sort of do the thing that they shouldn't be doing. So I think sometimes success can go to people's heads as well, and that's where I was saying you've always been
100%.
with yourself. So
100%.
yeah,
100%. Oh, man, you hit the nail on the head there, Jessica. Oh, bless you. That's amazing. That is
it's just things
absolutely
that come
amazing.
with experience, man. It's just you
No,
just
that's right.
experience it. You go through the process of growing up and learning that not everything's sort of peachy and stuff. That's not to be negative, but
Hmm.
you got to sort of see the wood through the trees.
Oh,
You-
100%, 100%,
yeah.
100%. Oh, bless you. All right, cool. I'm not going to keep you any longer. You know that. I
No,
can't
it's
believe at
okay.
the
I
time
don't even
we've
know how long it's
flown.
been actually, but it's
We
cool.
have we have flown through, like, you've gone through inspirations, how you started, What's happening in the future for you? What are you a person who looks a day ahead or like all the way 5
I
years?
try my best to stay in the present moment, but then
Good.
life happens and yeah. But I do try to stay in the present moment as much as I can. I try to schedule things when it comes to like content and all of that, just to be able to, you know, keep a symphony with my working days and my weeks and
hmm
stuff, like everybody does. Try to keep a nice healthy balance and all of that. But no, just I'm in the future, I don't know particularly where it's going. I just know that every single day I'm working on my craft. And
That's good.
I know as much as I appreciate like the compliments and everything that everyone always gives me, I always feel like but I can do better. And that's my inner demons, nothing that I want to express outwardly or out, but
Yeah.
like I always feel that, there's always room for improvement and stuff. So it's just I think it's about when it comes down to it, just not to that was the other thing as well, like not to compete with anybody, just keep in competition with yourself, just keep doing
So
your
good.
own thing.
Exactly that. Exactly.
I
You know
think
what?
that's
I always
what I have
end
to
the podcast on a nice quote, and that was a perfect quote there that you
feel.
just did. What you just said. I recently had Adam Tucker on, who's a musician who did the singing voice on Robbie Williams' Better Man biopic,
Oh wow. Okay.
and again, amazing episode, just like this, because two artists having a conversation, but have an amazing
I
quote
think
at the
artists just
end.
get it, man. I think artists just get
We
it.
do, we do. It's amazing because I always want to give something back to the listeners and the people that watch
Yeah,
the videos. And like if it connects with one person,
yeah.
that is a major change.
I
Like
don't want to like ever. I feel like when I say this on my own channel, I come across corny. Like I'd never want to come across cliche, but that's what it boils down to. I think a lot of people can get obsessed with people that you don't even know on social media
yeah,
rather
that's
than
right.
looking at what are you doing for yourself kind of thing. And that's why I say just don't compete with anyone. Just do your
Oh.
own thing, work at your own craft, just own in on you. So, but yeah, I was gonna ask you before you go, how was Harrison Ford, by the way? Like,
Oh my
how was
God.
that? He's doing so well for his age.
You know what? And that's the thing. You know what he said in that interview when we were there? I was like, oh my God. Like, first of all, sitting in a room with Harrison Ford is an insane moment.
Yeah.
Getting a compliment saying that you've got great hair was even better. Because you're like, oh my God, this is Han Solo, Indiana Jones in front of me. Uh, very charismatic, energetic. He still loves the art
Wow.
form. He loves acting. He goes, I'm still in this. The day I
Yeah.
stop, he's got a couple of projects he said he's got on, but until I finish those, he loves this. He loves this medium. He loves acting. He
Amazing.
loves
Yeah.
now he's part of the bigger universe of the MCU. Uh, but he does give some convoluted answers though. I feel like, he's showing his age, but see, he doesn't really
Quite
like
dry, a little bit dry, like
very dry. He doesn't give a fuck anymore. That's the
yeah.
main thing. He doesn't give a fuck anymore. Like the way he says it, like the way he drops F-bombs, I'm like, oh my God, this is Marvel, this is Disney. He's dropping F-bombs in the whole interview, and I'm like, are we able to use that content and tag Marvel and Disney?
It's just gonna
And
be
they were
bleeped
like,
all the way through it.
yeah, you know what? Listen, first of all, for that whole thing to happen, a very big shout outs to Geek House Show, who is based in Kuwait. He runs his own Instagram, massive Instagram, and he invited me to that.
That's amazing.
So, as
Oh
massive
wow.
thank you to Disney and Marvel for the day, but he gave me that invite. Like he
That's
knows
such
how
an
much.
honor.
And the same, like I can't thank him enough for that because he's done that twice now. I've been in the presence of Idris Elba, Keanu Reeves, Jim Carrey. Oh my God, absolute legends in one room.
It's
Like that was
crazy.
insane. Like so you're
Crazy.
like I'm still a kid. Like in
Amazing.
those moments, I'm still that kid. But
Yeah.
Geek House Show, massive shout outs to him because he took me as his plus one to experience that. So if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I'll always give him a
Amazing.
thank you. But thank you, Marvel and Disney, for the day because they did have a fun packed day there. And Harrison Ford, Anthony Mackie, oh my God, what a charismatic dude as well. Like really funny.
I'm
Harrison
really looking
Ford,
forward to see him in this. This is gonna be interesting, like and the Hulk as well, like
yes,
Ross, it just
yeah.
looks so cool.
It
So
is, it is. Like
I can't
he
wait to see that new take on it and how they've made it so fresh. So I really am.
I think that's a good thing, and we needed like Marvel have taken risks over like what they did in Phase 4.
Yeah,
I feel like and good risk because some of that stuff I absolutely love. Miss Marvel, first Muslim superhero, which is absolutely amazing. We got Loki. Oh my God, Loki was amazing. Like I really enjoyed Loki. Uh, and Shang-Chi. Oh my God, Shang-Chi is the
yeah,
best thing that came out of Phase 4, I gotta
agree.
say. I'm waiting for Shang-Chi to come back. Uh, what else was there? But yeah, no, there's so much more what we're gonna get in Phase 5. Just Harrison Ford is a kid, like a legend. Like my dad messaged me after, and he was like, "How are you in the room with fucking Harrison
It's,
Ford?"
it's, it's 82, is it now?
82
81,
years,
82,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
82 years old, and he's
You
still
know,
doing it.
it's so amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
It was good. It was an absolutely uh it's hard to explain because in that moment, like I remember, I got giddy suddenly. I was like, "Oh my God, like he's walked in the door and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's Harrison Ford." Like I'm a kid from Tottenham, like
Yeah.
growing up. Like
I remember
I'm
watching Indiana Jones with my nana when he was
yeah,
dead young, like it's crazy
it's
just to
it's
see how quick time's gone.
it's crazy, yeah. It has.
Yeah,
Time has gone so quick. He still loves everything. He still
I
enjoys
can
doing
imagine.
movies and he
Yeah.
said he still wants to do it until he stops. But like yeah, it was a surreal moment, honestly. So I've had a couple of surreal moments that I'll cherish for a lifetime because this medium, even though my dad doesn't like the fact that he inspired us when it comes to the art journey and pop culture, him and my
Yeah.
uncle, his younger brother gave me my first comic book, which was like Superman and X-Men.
I was gonna ask where does all that come from with you? Like where did you main get your when you first got your source of inspiration? Because I know that the comic books, the pop culture, all of that. Like I was gonna ask where did it all first like derive
That
from? I mean, I
that
know
came,
as kids
yeah.
before technology, we were all engrossed in the movies and everything
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saturday morning cartoons, but mostly my uncle.
Yeah.
My uncle was an artist. He was an artist
Oh,
that struggled a lot because again, we were outcasted because of the culture, the religion, and all the rest
right.
of it,
Yeah.
which was very difficult for him to pursue in his art career, which now he
Right.
lives his life through my eyes because he's like,
Yeah.
you kept
He must be
going.
so yeah, so proud though. He must be
He
so
is. I
proud.
get that message
Yeah.
from him. He was like, I can't believe you met Deckard from Blade Runner. Like, he was like, you're
Yeah.
in the room with Harrison Ford. So every time those moments happen, I always send it to my dad and my uncle first before I send it to my mum.
Yeah.
My mum, bless her, like, I'm actually surprised she remembers all of this stuff. But she was like, she remembers me having the DeLorean on my wedding day. She remembers me meeting Michael J. Fox. And she was like, how have you, like, done this? And I said, it's because of art. Like,
Yeah.
I literally uh, love art and I love different expressions of art,
Yeah.
and I'll always have that. Like even when my daughter says to me, "Oh, she doesn't like the way she colored this," and I'm
Oh
like, "Well,
no.
you keep working on it. Like you." She goes like, "I
Yeah.
want to color like you do," and I was like, "You will." So you have to keep practicing, and I want to
Exactly.
be able to let her have that inner child with her for the rest of her life because
Yeah.
I feel like me having that, being able to carry that with all the trauma and PTSD
Exactly.
and growing
You've
up
got to be able
that
to nurture that inner child. You've got to be
yeah
able to.
like
There's a
and
book that I read like a while back called The Artist Way.
mm,
And it said little things like go get like little things like a toy or whatever resonated with you when you were a kid and just keep it on your table or wherever you work every day and just like or go out and treat yourself to like random sweets that you used to eat when you were a kid. Anything like that. And do like these morning pages, get it all out of all of that rubbish that you carry and just get it all out in the morning and be done with it. I
yeah.
think never lose your inner child, never ever lose.
No, 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 don't. And I think that's how it all started off. My uncle gave me it was 1991 or I think, yeah, 1991. I was 11 years old, starting
Wow.
secondary school, not finding my place, loving everything pop culture. And he gave me a comic book. It was Superman,
Yeah.
1990. I think it was done by John Barnes. I've done like a poster of it.
Yeah.
And Superman kind of just, in that book, he jumped out of the
So,
page. Like now we get motion comic books,
yeah.
but like that, like, I was like, oh my God, this visual is amazing. I want to, and I
Yeah,
practiced.
they
And my uncle
are.
taught me how
I've
to
always loved
draw.
that.
He told me to trace and learn
Yeah.
shapes and understand colors and put me on my journey. And then the X-Men came into my life, and I was like, oh my God, this is a short guy, like with anger issues. That's me. That's Wolverine. Like, you kind of merge them together, and then you like end up becoming a fan of the X-Men and so on. I love comic books. Like,
This is
there's
it. The
nothing but
characters
books
have
in
so
every
much
room.
relatability. Like,
100%.
like Spider-Man, the geek that could never get the girl and stuff, but in
Yeah,
this other world, he's like this really cool dude that can, you know, spin webs and everything and climb buildings
exactly.
and stuff. It's just and Stanley, I think he was told as well that that'll never amount to anything. And then next minute he was selling the stories in the comics, and it just flew off. He gave like this great big speech about it.
Yes, yes, I've seen
Yeah,
that one.
you just have to keep believing in that.
Believing in that, and no idea is a bad idea.
Yeah,
If it doesn't work out, you move on to the next one. I think
exactly.
Stanley, oh, that's one person I would have
Worst thing
loved
you
to
can
met
do
on
is
my
not
journey.
try.
Yeah, you've got to try, and I think we give up too easily now because of things like social media platforms
Yeah,
and stuff like that. And I
yeah,
and as an artist, I would, or as a human being, I would love to say, don't worry about the algorithm. You know, it's changed because it's changed. It's advancing for other things, for other creators.
yeah.
But
The
you should
algorithm can be
stay,
a nightmare.
yeah, like just stay on your lane, do the work that you love. Because if you stop doing what you love, and listen, I don't care if I get 5 likes. That's 5 people that enjoyed that post, you know, 10 views. Doesn't matter. Like, honestly, I think
It's
people
like
give
with
up way
hate
too
comments
easy.
and stuff as well. Like if you get any
Yeah,
negativity, like I used to I remember when I first started. I used to take them to heart. Now I
yeah.
just click and I block and I move on now. I haven't got time for it now. It's like but I only have one or two options. I sit and cry about it, or I just go do another drawing or do something else, and I
Exactly.
move on. Like you can't just get all beat up and caught up in that. And that's another thing to take to this newer, fresher generation is you're going to have to try to learn to build a shell, but not like so it reflects like any negativity like on your loved ones or anything, but
No,
like
of course, yeah, that's right.
in the realm of social media, you've got to have a bit of a shell to do what
Resilience.
you do, to do what
Yeah.
we're doing anyway, because it's crazy out here on the
I
algorithm.
so
So
I recently started TikTok, an art page TikTok. I've got a podcast page where I put
yeah,
up all the clips, but it's really just a place where I just put stuff on.
yeah,
I don't really care about the numbers and
yeah,
stuff anymore. I just really put the stuff on there.
yeah.
I started an art page, and oh my God, I was like, oh my God, this is a bit brutal, but it doesn't bother me. But I just want to put the artwork out there. It's going to reach to one person that's going to
Yeah.
say, you know what, I want to try and do this. So I
Even
don't want
even
it
if
to
it's
stop
just
anybody.
like I think yeah I am. I'm definitely quoting Billie Eilish on this. I think it was even she that said like even if it's just one person and it connects with that one person, it's all that should matter. At least you've had an effect on
100%.
somebody's life in some positive way, and that is what we started it for, and that's hopefully what we'll all finish it for too. So
Well, no, yeah, definitely, because it was a positive thing for us to do. I think it was a positive thing. I started doing more artwork and I came back to artwork
yeah.
after something tragic happened to me that I had the love for comic books and comic book artworks. I stopped for 15 years.
So
I stopped
where
in
do
my
you think you'll
20s.
see yourself then in a few years? Like where do you want to take the comic side? Because I've seen the ink drawings as well that you've done, which are awesome too. So I'd just
Uh,
like you know because it's definitely like I think that's like sometimes how I am. Like I love so much and I have like my passions into so much. It's difficult to sort of separate them sometimes. And when
it's
it
so
just
hard.
becomes a collective, you just are an artist.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
some people either understand it and get it, or I think mainly artists get it, and I think that's why you'll find that a lot of even the commenters over on YouTube and stuff will be artists too in that
Hmm.
community because we all sort of like congregate together. There's like only a certain niche of us that get it, that understand the creative path, whereas to the mundane world, it's a bit like, it's a
Mm.
bit confusing to some people.
Yeah, it is. It so is. I don't actually see. I want to do another children's book for my youngest.
Yeah,
That's the next one. Uh, and keep drawing, to be honest. Like it's so hard as a parent to find time to just draw. Like
yeah,
I've found it very hard to maintain time, sleeping patterns. And now that I do this evening work as well now, it's like where do I find the time to be creative? And like the podcast I love doing, we've been doing it
Yeah.
for 9 years now. Uh I'll continue doing this because I get to connect with my brother. That's the reason why we started it. He moved
Yeah, I
abroad
believe so.
and that's how we keep in contact. So, and now it's actually introduced us to having the guts to say, I want to reach out to other creatives to talk about their journey, to talk,
Yeah.
just have a good conversation. But I'll continue doing that. Uh, I used to have like kind of like goals at the beginning of the year. I stopped doing that 2 years ago. Uh, and I'm just, as you said, like I think I'm just kind of living in the presence now because I've got young kid, like Nia's young. I want to
It is
really,
hard.
I
Yeah.
really want to enjoy being a father at the moment. I think
Yeah. You don't want to
being a
miss that.
no, and
When
my
you
eldest, she's at 6 years
focus.
old now, and if she sees me scrolling constantly because I'm trying to chase this, it's not an impossible dream. I'm not going to say it's an impossible dream,
Yeah.
but trying to chase these dreams and trying to understand things a little bit
Yeah,
more.
because you always know like you always want better and you always want your best for your children and that's
Mm,
what it's for at the end of the day. If anything, that's why I haven't stopped because I
mm,
always think of my daughter's future. I always and
yeah.
even though she's getting older now and she's schooling me and she's telling me how to keep up with the algorithm. She knows more than what I do and I'm on it more than what she is. I think I am anyway because of all the posts that I do. But
Yeah,
yeah, I always think that that's what matters. And I think my granddad as well, like bless him, like he always did that with me way before even social media. Like he was in the football industry, he was an
yeah.
FA coach,
Ooh,
and I always looked up to him as a source of inspiration, and he would always back me no matter what idea I had, or no matter he would ask me to look at the logical side of it, but he would never ever dampen my dreams and tell me I couldn't do something. So it was always nice to have that like that
that's
support, that
reassurance.
foundation
That
growing
support
up.
is so
Yeah,
important, so
yeah,
important. Uh, I kind of wish I had that a little bit more. But
yeah,
I feel like I had to take my parents on this journey with me. And the more they see, because I always send them pictures and I always send them progress of the
yeah.
kids, and uh, they were like, "Oh my God, he's
You're
actually
opening their
doing."
eyes a little bit more.
Yeah, and then they're
Yeah.
like, when I told my dad, like, when I sent him that picture, and then I saw him a couple of days after, and he was like, what was that like meeting Harrison Ford? And I was like, I was being a kid, Dad. Like, I was so giddy inside, like, I felt like this little boy just wanted to scream in
Yeah,
this place, and like, and then he kind of shared those moments because he was like, you've really got into this world now, haven't you? And he was like, and he goes, now he knew that I think deep down inside, and it's been hard to admit, but a podcast episode I did recently with another artist kind of got it out of me, which kind of
yeah,
was emotional. I think I know I wanted to be an actor, and I didn't pursue that.
yeah, yeah, that.
I didn't pursue that. But art was the form to kind of help guide me out of that pain of not being able to do that. And that because I didn't have the guidance, I didn't have the support, and I didn't know personally how to admit that to friends and family was
Yeah, I get
like
that.
I don't want to be an action star or anything, but I want to be a comedian and I want to do something funny because I know that when I'm with my friends, I love the being center of attention, and
Yeah, you know
I love
yourself.
I know
Yeah.
myself and I know how to make them laugh.
Like how people react and respond to you. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I get
They're
that.
like, Kibbs, you're the only one, I don't know why. Like a lot of my friends always say, like, I don't know why you didn't go into stand-up comedy. I don't know why you didn't, pursue this because you've always had that talent. You've always
Yeah.
had a way of being with people and you always made people laugh and smile. Like, and deep down inside, we know you were struggling because you couldn't get on that path. And I didn't know how to ask. And then finally, I started to be more open in the past couple of years. I think when I had that breakdown because of social media, it opened up different avenues of how to work with these studios. How does it work with the podcast? How do I get guests on? But no, I don't want the A-listers. I want the people that work in the background, the
Yeah.
directors, the writers, the graphic designers, and this. I'm gonna give Annie a shout out because she works for a PR company, and 2 years ago she gave me the opportunity to interview Jeff Rowe, who was like he's a storyboard artist, and he did the family. What was it called? It was a Netflix animation. Oh, the Mitchells and the Robots, and he directed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. and she gave me the opportunity to have an interview face to face, put me in a difficult position, but it was my first episode to talk about the creative background of being a storyboard artist, going into directing, and talking about cinema and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
it was such a great episode that has given us more opportunities to do things like that. And I want to be able to do more of that, is to inspire others, because that moment inspired me. How can I do that for others? And that's why I do these geek out sessions with different artists,
I think that's what it is as
directors.
well about
Yeah.
social media. You can see the layers that go into the movies, that go into what it
Yeah.
actually takes to bring that all together. Whereas like growing up, we didn't have that. It was
No.
just something was released, you'd go see it at the cinema and that was it. But the beauty of social media today is you can see every sort of angle and
Yeah.
every perspective of it, and it's really, really it's beautiful to see unfold. So,
No.
and it's like you can either look at it like you can either look at it as like have we had wasted dreams, or are we still going to continue down the creative path? And I think yeah, because it's always changing, it's always expanding. I just like I say, I just think anything can turn around at any point in your life. And I
No.
just think
100%.
just to keep at it, literally just to
Exactly.
keep going and just be that beacon of inspiration for people because there's so many people out there that just really like they have that fear of telling family, they have that fear of telling friends, look, I want to do this big thing, but they're so scared of failure. But that's the
Yeah.
thing, you've got to fail to get successful anyway, because success
100%.
doesn't happen
100%.
like that. Like
It
you've got to
doesn't.
go through so many failures anyway, just to see where you might end up, because you're not going to learn if you don't fail.
No,
So
$100%. I think
I think being successful is more scary as well because you
100%.
have have everything that comes with it that you've never even experienced before. You're fresh to that. So that's another thing that's always scared me is success too.
Mm.
It's crazy. Like I've put things off because I've had anxiety about if, if something goes too far, where will this lead me? There's an anxiety there as well about that because we can I've had anxiety at both opposite ends of the poles, like scared
Yeah.
of success, but also scared of um, exposing myself so much to everybody where I'm so transparent that, okay, they get it now. This is what I want to do. You've just got to get past the point of really not caring what
Yeah,
others.
no, 100%. I in my workshops I always say that. Like shout outs to Punch Records. I do a lot of stuff in Birmingham with them. And I do a lot of workshops and I do mentoring with them as well, which is absolutely that's been a new part of my journey, is mentoring other artists to find their inner confidence and, as you said, not care and just go for it. Like you're gonna get rejections. Some things are not gonna go through, but there's always the next project and there's
I think
always the
that's the
next
beauty of
pitch.
what you're doing as well, because some people they have to sort of be coached into how do you not care?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think with
There's got to be you've got to like that's the beauty of what you're doing is like you're opening people's eyes on that by continuing doing what you're doing. You're showing up. I think that's just the most important thing is just to
show
keep
up,
showing up.
show
God.
up, show up. There you go. Another quote. Another quote, guys. Keep showing up.
I'm full
Jessica's
of it
dropping
today.
all the
I don't know
quotes.
what's going on, but it's just I don't know, man. Like I've obviously like when you're drawing and when you're creating, like you're isolated a lot of the time, so you sat
Hmm.
with your own thoughts. So like with me now, I don't really have the time to sit back and think about what people are thinking. I've just got to create what people are asking me to create and produce it, and you've just got to
Exactly.
keep rolling with it. I can't be caught up with, oh, what if this doesn't work, and what if they really think that this is a crappy drawing or something. I mean, I'll give you an example. Like when I was saying about the acrylic markers before,
Hmm.
I'd got them, like I'd never worked with them like that. I'm always used to like having a brush and acrylic painting with a brush.
Yeah.
So to me, it was a bit different, and I was like, I didn't really like what I was creating myself at first, but I just had to put it out there. Like there was a due date, there was a sponsor in place, and if I didn't do it, I wouldn't
You're
get
not gonna get
paid.
paid. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
So I had to like try and figure out behind the scenes like the technique and then be able to produce a video to show, okay, this is how this medium works and stuff. So it's always an inner battle. You're always going to go through demons. It's regardless of what
I think
everybody
that's just a part of
facet
it,
of
and
it.
I don't think, and a lot of people need to be quite upfront about that. And you know what, Jessica, massive thank you for having this conversation with me and being so upfront about it as well, because
No,
sometimes
you're most
a lot of
welcome.
people are not, and we've been,
Yeah.
as you said, you've been in those rooms where you're like, Oof, that's not good. That's
Yeah,
bad. Uh,
definitely.
and like I've become that person as well, but then I've become that person where people ask why and what are you doing here? And you're so lucky. And it's like, no, I've worked really hard,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
but I'm not here because of my following. I'm not here because of the numbers. I'm genuinely here as an avid fan. Like
You
I'm a
showed
kid.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, I show up. Like I'm in
Yeah.
those rooms, and and a bit of what's the word? Uh oh, I can't find the word. Arrogance to it because I love this stuff. I love it. I absolutely love it. I adore it. It saved my
It's the
life. Art
emotional
saved my
aspect of
life.
it, isn't it? It's
Yeah, like and there's going to be arrogance with it is because it's my it's what I turn to when I feel lonely, or when I feel inspired, or it has an emotional connection to so many things. So when you're asking a question to Harrison Ford about something that's not relatable, you're not really in it for that. You're there because you've got the numbers. But where I'm this giddy kid who grew up with Blade Runner and Deckard sitting right in
yeah,
front of me, I'm going to ask him a Blade Runner question. Of course, I'm going to ask him a Blade Runner question.
same.
How can I not ask him that question? Which version of the movie does he prefer? Because there's like four different versions of that
Exactly.
film. So like, and a lot of people don't know that, and that's the reason why I think
Love
sometimes
Blade
PR
Runner.
companies kind of pick a fan boy
Yeah.
or a fan girl that really enjoys that stuff. And I'm really a fan with most of this stuff.
And that's
But
that's
really,
what makes it as well. That's what makes those movies at the end of the day, you know.
yeah, exactly. Uh, Jessica, I've
Yeah.
kept you long enough,
No, it's okay.
and it's been such a pleasure. But I do want to find out about what is your favorite movie?
Oh, it's hard to say. There's too many, but what I will do is I'll put it into the genre of it's definitely the old school stuff.
Okay,
So like definitely the classic stuff like I was talking about earlier
yeah.
on. So I think when I want one of those rainy days where I need my comfort movies, I'll go back to like the traditional Marvel movies actually. And I say traditional because like
Oh,
Maguire's Spider-Man and
wow.
I think The Dark Knight came out when I was just leaving high school.
Okay,
So like comfort movies as well. Like I like comedy and stuff like that, but like I say, I need a movie that I can relate to. I love sci-fi, love Blade
yeah,
Runner.
yeah.
Um,
Blade Runner's wicked.
and I love all the spooky classics as well. I've definitely got that spooky dark side going on. I love like Halloween and all of that. Crazy. What's your favorite comfort movie on Mike Myers and Halloween? Like everyone turns and looks at you as if to say, okay, this one's a little bit. We'll put her over in that corner over there.
Oh, brilliant. Oh,
No, I
brilliant.
love the old school stuff. I love all of the new stuff that's coming out. Like I say, I love Arcane and Jinx.
Hmm.
Definitely watch it. Definitely watch it. It's a good watch. Um, but and like I do keep up with the new stuff like Squid Game, Wednesday, and all of that on Netflix. And definitely any Marvel or DC movies that come
Yeah.
out, I'm definitely there for and down with. But it's all in my heart and hearts. I'm definitely old school. Like I like David Bowie's Labyrinth as well.
Oof.
Like all of
Do you know
those.
that they're making a remake? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I think about
Yeah,
that.
no, that
I
I was
don't
really
know.
upset. I was talking about it on the
Yeah, I
podcast
think you should
recently, and
just
I was
leave
like,
some classics alone.
yeah,
So
that's
I
such a
saw the
great
fresh
film.
quote
It's
with
hard. We're in a weird industry as well where people
yeah,
are we're used to regurgitation of something because you go on TikTok or Instagram and everybody's on the same trend and the same
yeah,
music. You're like, oh man, come on, something a bit original. And that's how they've kind of. I feel like that's a bit of programming
yeah,
in
it
a
is.
sense.
Yeah, of course
Uh,
it is.
but you like all the best stuff, which is all the stuff I grew up with, which is the
I'm
80s and
definitely old
90s
school.
movies. Yeah,
Yeah,
80s
yeah,
and Back to the Future is my all-time favorite film. I absolutely adore that movie. But then, as you said, Labyrinth and The Dark Crystal.
yeah,
I do
yeah.
love the old horror films, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They just had this real, raw, authentic feel
I
to it
think it's
because it feels
because
like,
maybe it's because like they weren't like so injected with CGI. I don't know.
no,
But
you're
then I
right.
love Stranger Things.
Oh, so
So
good.
it's like
So
I'm
good.
obsessed with Stranger Things. It's incredible, but yeah, but I think that's because it's got the 80s. It's the
Yes,
80s
it's got that. It's
element to
still,
it. So how can you not love Stranger Things?
yeah.
Being the
It's got
kids
that.
that we've been, so
Exactly. It's that nostalgia vibe. Like, I remember I
yeah,
didn't watch it, and my brother was like, bro, please, you're gonna absolutely love this. Like, They talk
Yeah,
about the X-Men comic books, and it's based in the 80s, and the music is amazing. And he was like,
it's
I was like,
incredible.
okay, you know what? I'll give it a go. And I remember falling in love with that season. That first season was absolutely
Amazing.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I've loved the journey so far. That we've watched them all grow up, and we're still getting content, which is great.
Yeah.
But I didn't enjoy the last season as much. I
I
felt
remember
like,
picking up my phone, like every time I would pick up my phone, either TikTok or Instagram, it's always Kate Bush running up that hill. Like every
yeah,
time there wasn't any different post. I think there was like a full on like hour binge that I did on my phone and not one different post. I was like, come on, man. I was like, oh my
they
God. But
did
no,
they
it was great. I mean, I watched it with my little girl and
yeah.
she loves it too. So
It's
um
amazing that we can transcend that with our
yeah,
kids because, like, I watched the Gremlins with my kids the other day,
it's lovely.
and my little girl, she loved it. She was like, "These characters, like, it's not CGI. Like, she thought like they're
Yeah.
real, like they're puppets." I was like, "They're puppets," and like she was like, "Oh, you know." My eldest was saying that my youngest looks like Gizmo because of the sounds, and I was like, "Yeah, of course she is like Gizmo." Uh, but yeah, it's amazing that I could get to share those moments with the kids and that part of my childhood with them.
Yeah.
Whether they kind of take it on afterwards, but
Yeah.
when like as my daughter grows up and this turns into her bedroom fully, like, she's growing up with like a hoverboard, uh, Iron Man's gauntlet. She's
True.
got a lightsaber in here, and like she uses all my art. Like I say, you're allowed to use it. Like you can sit on the desk and draw like her.
I'd say she's got a pretty cool dad. So
I
I
do the
don't think she's
best.
gonna have any problems in that bedroom.
Like
Like
yeah, definitely.
inspiration
Like
all
get
around her should be
inspired. I want
fine.
her to be inspired. Like I
Yeah.
genuinely doesn't regardless of where she goes with her path later on. When it comes to
Yeah.
creativity, it's like the stuff is here, Dad. Like there's paint, there's pencils, there's felt tip markers, and I see her
Exactly.
sometimes. She'll sit here, she'll put the lamp on, and like as she was coloring this before I went into work, uh, and there's ink stains all over the table. I love it. Like it's like one of those things that she got Hello Kitty everywhere. She's a big fan of Hello Kitty.
Oh,
Uh, and like her like watching her become this kind of like creative person where she's watching other YouTube artists
yeah.
do
Yeah.
artwork and she's following like the guidelines and I'm like oh my God, like you're really understanding detail
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It is.
So my future and what I've got planned, I'll have like always little goals, but being a good dad and watching them kind of
That's what
be
it's
amazing.
all about. That life
Yeah.
experience, like outside of social media, is that's where it's important. You know, you can't forget about that life experience
No, definitely,
as
definitely.
well. It's
Oh
important that
my
we just
God.
make that time.
Oh, yeah. It's so time is important, guys. Being present. There you go. Today's like podcast episode is full of quotes from Jessica,
I know.
which
I think I've been your ears with that.
no, absolutely amazing. Like I've got all of Jessica's links down below in the description. But Jessica, we can find you on YouTube, Instagram. Are you on TikTok?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah, same name everywhere. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
So just type that name into Google, or all the links are all below here. Go subscribe to the channels, follow her journey.
Thank
Very
you.
unique, very honest. Uh, like you're gonna absolutely love the journey, and I think that's the one thing that I would like to give my part from for saying thank you for coming onto the show and sharing
Oh,
your
you're most
sharing your
welcome.
journey and opening up as well because I know like sometimes that's very hard to do and you've just met me we've followed each other on our socials
Yeah,
but
it's crazy. Yeah, you
it's
know.
nice to have a good honest conversation and I think the listeners are going to absolutely love this so if I have any questions guys if you guys do have any questions then pass them over to me or put them into the comments and if it's direct questions to Jessica I will send them over to her and she can answer those for you but
Of course.
Jessica thank you so much for your time
No,
absolutely
you're
honored
most
absolutely
welcome.
honored and yes, we're gonna have to do an art collaboration, you know?
That'll be epic. Yeah,
Yes, we're gonna have to do an
definitely.
art collaboration because I made a promise last year was to collaborate with more artists on doing mixed media artwork. And I'm doing a collaboration with my daughter at the moment, which
Oh,
is she's creating characters and then I'm drawing them in comic book format.
cool.
So
So she doing her
It's
own OCs then, like her own original characters as well.
yeah,
That's awesome.
own original characters, and I'm doing them as like full
Yeah.
blown, like really good detailed imagery. Which she saw a couple of them the other day, and she was like, "Daddy, that looks absolutely amazing." And I'm like, "Wait till you do more, because these original characters are your original characters, and this is just my vision of them. I want to hopefully, go from there. But yes, I will
That's
definitely
amazing.
drop a message
Better
and kind of
expand
go
on
from
that.
there. Yeah, massive thank you. Thanks for coming on
No, you're
again.
most welcome. Thank you. Seriously, thank you for asking me.
No,
And it's been a pleasure. Like I could, I mean, probably like if we're outside in the real somewhere world somewhere, like literally, I could just talk to you for hours just about all of this stuff. It's crazy, but it's what we grew up on.
no,
So and
definitely.
that's
No,
where
that's
we
amazing.
were so like straight away. Like I knew I could relate because I just took one look at your feed and I think I binged through your stuff. I was like giving you like after like when we first followed one another,
Yeah,
like
no, it
you
was
do.
that's
So straight away,
amazing.
I knew I wouldn't have agreed to come on if I didn't know we were gonna click. So yeah, I really appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it. So
No,
grateful.
that's amazing.
So
That's
thank
amazing.
you.
Thank you.